Hello there, world of tankers. I'm Blitz, and in today's video, keeping with the top 5 trend, I'm going to be going over the top 5 most forgotten premium tanks. So of course, if you do like this type of video, please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below. We are growing over 250 subscribers every single day, and every subscribe button does really help out the channel. So if you like this type of content, please make sure to hit that button down below. But without further ado, I'm going to get straight into the list. Hitting off in 5th place, we have the T95E2. Now this is a very unpopular Tier 8 American medium. Now the reason I definitely feel that nobody plays it is because there's a way better version called the 59 Patton. It sort of looks the same way, except it has the hull of a Type 59, which as we all know is very, very solid. It's around 180 millimeters on the upper plate of the 59 Patton. The turret armor on the Patton as well is around 200 millimeters effective, which means that most Tier 8s can struggle to penetrate you, and the cupola isn't too bad either on the 59 Patton. It carries the same gun, same damage per minute, same premium rounds, so it's just a way better tank because you look at the T95E2 and it literally sports 0 armor. Now the upper plate on this tank can be quite troll, but the issue is the turret's only about 170 millimeters thick. And as we all know, most Tier 8s are easily going to be able to penetrate that, even with their stock guns. 170 pen is not a lot at all. So it's not a very fun tank. I personally am not a huge fan of it. I would much rather run a tank like the Type 59, T54 Mod 1, especially if I'm pulling out a premium tank. This is just not the best one to pull out. And the crazy thing is that this tank is so underplayed that a couple months back, Wargaming actually sold this tank for only 5,500 gold, which is an extremely cheap price tag for a Tier 8 premium tank. And still only 276 people have played this tank in the last 90 days. Moving on up into 4th place, we have the IS-2SH. Now this is one of the weirdest looking Russian heavies in the game. The reason for that being is because it is a rear turreted Tier 8 premium tank, and you really don't find that as a Russian heavy tank. Now it is a very cool one in my opinion. I actually love to run this tank because a lot of people don't know what it is, especially newer players, and they really struggle to penetrate this thing when you do go up against it. It is very, very troll. Now, it is not necessarily one of the best tanks, and that's one of the issues I think that a lot of people get thrown off by it, is that it's a rear turreted tank, but yet the turret is not very good. A Chrysler K has amazing turret armor, and that's why I love the Chrysler K so much, is that you can use that tank on a wall. It's got perfect side armor, you back up, and people just cannot penetrate your turret. This tank, it really struggles on the turret armor. It's only about 180 to 220 millimeters effective. And while it can be troll on some of the angles of the turret, it would just be way better if you had the turret of, let's say, an Object 252 shoved on the back. It would look very weird, but I definitely think that it would bounce a lot more shells, and I think the turret definitely is in major need of a buff. As well, the frontal armor, while it is pretty good at around 230 on the upper plate, the lower plate is only sitting at around 110, and even a T49 can easily penetrate through your lower plate on this vehicle, and yeah, that's really not going to stand much of a chance against enemy Tier 8 opponents. Now, it does actually come with 7 degrees of gun depression, and when you're using that gun depression, it actually does become very, very troll to penetrate because the turret is all the way on the back of the vehicle. It makes the hull just such a steep angle to penetrate, and because of that, I really like the tank. It goes 42 kilometers per hour. It doesn't have the best power to weight ratio, but it does get up to speed, and as well, it carries one of the most accurate Russian guns you will find on a Tier 8 Russian heavy tank. It's got a little bit better on-movement turret dispersion values. It also has a little bit better aiming time than the IS-5, the Glacial, the 112. There's a lot of things that this tank has a lot better aiming time than the stock standard Russian, so I personally really like this tank. But it definitely makes sense why only about 500 people have played this tank in the last 90 days. Jumping into 3rd place, we have the VK90.01P. Now, I do know that this is a collector vehicle, but in my opinion, collectors and premiums are pretty much in the same category. They both earn extra credits, and you can use the experience you've earned on them with gold on any other vehicle in the game. Now, of course, you can do that with any Tier 10 vehicle, but you're not going to be earning credits in most Tier 10 tanks. The main reason why the VK90 is such a rare tank to find in the current matchmaker is because you have to spend a very pretty penny to get this tank in your garage. It was sold in the last Blitz fair, and it cost me the most money out of any of the tanks currently in my garage to get this vehicle. And if you are not a YouTuber like me and made a little bit of money on YouTube, so I actually want to thank you guys for helping the channel out, and patrons, because you guys are the reason I was able to afford the VK90. But for people that can't afford this type of tank, it is crazy how much money it did cost for me to actually get this in my garage. And it is such a shame that you had to spend so much money to get it, because I actually think that this is one of the most balanced premium vehicles Wargaming has ever put into the game. The reason for that being is because where everything is good on it, it also has something that's bad. The front of the tank only has 4 degrees of gun depression, which is completely awful because it is such a tall vehicle. But the sides of it has 10, so you have to know when to angle it, when to not angle it, because when you are trying to get that 10 degrees out, you do tend to over-angle the tank and people penetrate your side armor. That's the same thing for the penetration on this vehicle. It comes with 290 millimeters of pen if you're running calibrated on it. Now that's extremely high penetration, in fact the highest pen for any tier 10 heavy in the game. But to balance that, the tank has terrible premium penetration, only sitting at like 330 I think, and because it only gets APCR, you're at like 345 with calibrated on. Which means that you really struggle to penetrate tanks like a mouse in the cheeks, or E100s in the superstructure where you really wouldn't in a tank like an IS-4. So I think that this is one of the most balanced tanks in the game, and that's why I love running it so much. Into second place, we have the Vulcan. Now, if you've never heard of this tank, I won't blame you in the slightest bit, especially if you're newer to the game. This tank was sold about a year ago, I'd say, and it's only been sold once as of the latest I've known. It actually is a decent tank, carries a 350 alpha gun, which at tier 7 is a very devastating amount, has very good damage per minute, it's quick, I think it goes up to 42 kilometers per hour, it's got a great power to weight ratio, 7 degrees of gun depression, it actually looks very promising, but the armor on this thing is really bad, and second of all, it's really ugly. I hate the look of this tank, with the spaced armor on the sides of it and the front of it, and as well it's just got this really ugly grim color to it. I think it's just such an ugly tank, and I've had a lot of people tell me that the main reason why they don't want to own this thing is first of all because it's not an actual tank. Even though the vehicles that are in the game, like the IS-2SH was never a real World War II tank, it still actually is a tank design blueprint. The Vulcan, yeah, it's from the Valkyria Chronicles, so it's not a real tank, so that's one reason why I think a lot of people didn't go for it. And second of all, it's this big lumbering target, and as I said, it actually has really good gun statistics going for it, it's got good mobility, but it's marketed as a heavy tank. And when a lot of people thought this thing was coming into the game, it looked like it was going to be this beast. It's got this big spaced armor plates on the side. You thought this thing was going to ricochet a lot of shells, it's going to be very fun to play, and it turns out that it really doesn't ricochet anything. And that's another big downfall of this vehicle. In fact, only 56 people have played this tank in the last 90 days. Moving into first place, we have the O47. Now this tank has only ever been sold twice, and a lot of you guys might not even know what this vehicle is if you've been playing the game for the last couple years. And the reason for that being is this tank has only ever been sold twice. The first time was when it first came out. It came out for a ludicrous $50. Now at that time, the only types of tanks that were that expensive were vehicles like the Type 59, the Type 62 Dragon. Vehicles like the O47 just didn't come out for $50. The main reason it was so expensive was because this special tank designer, or it was this special animator, designed the vehicle for wargaming. So they jacked up the prices and showed off the vehicle as this really cool looking tank. Now, I personally do not dig the style of this vehicle that much, but I do know that a lot of people that own it, of course, definitely really do like the style of this tank. Just as I said though for the Vulcan, the second reason why a lot of people did not buy this tank is because a lot of people want to have real tanks in the game. Like the Tiger, like the Tiger II, those tanks actually existed, and even the tanks and blueprints were still actual real blueprints. This tank, yeah, this was not real blueprints, this was a tank designed by somebody who spent months designing it on a sketch pad. So there's a little bit of a difference, and a lot of people like to actually have the realism in World of Tanks over the idea of just having a made-up vehicle that you can buy. So that's the second reason why I think this tank is very, very rare, but finding this in the matchmaker is pretty much like your chances of opening up the Chinese containers and getting a 111.5A or a 121B out of it. It is extremely rare to find it. And it's actually a very fun tank. It has a nice gun, decent damage per minute, very troll armor going for it. I actually like the playstyle. I don't play it that much because, as I said, I'm not a huge fan of the look. but it actually is a very fun tank. But only about 100 people have played this thing in the last 90 days over all of the servers. A lot of you guys are probably just about to get ready to type in the comment section, wait, you forgot the IS-6 Fearless, how could you? Now, the main reason why I'm not putting the IS-6 Fearless in this video is because, while yes, it is the rarest vehicle in any single server, only 9 people have played it in the last 90 days, and that is extremely rare. Everybody knows what the IS-6 Fearless is. First of all, it's just a stock standard IS with a camo on it, but everybody knows what the IS-6 Fearless is. It's in ratings right now. Hundreds of thousands of people are trying to score it in the top 10 place to pick up the tank the first month of ratings. So everybody knows what the IS-6 Fearless is. It's not a very rare vehicle. If I asked any one of my friends, they'd all know what it is. I can't say all of my friends would know what the 047 is, or they could remember quite a bit about it. So that's why I'm not putting the IS-6 Fearless in this list. But I hope you guys did enjoy this video. As always, if you did, please make sure to hit that subscribe button down below, as it does help out the channel so much. As well, I hope you guys are all doing well out there. If you liked this video, please make sure to hit that like button down below. If you didn't like it, well, let me know why you didn't like it. Hit that downvote button. But other than that, guys, I hope you're all doing well out there. Stay happy, stay healthy out there, and I hope you did enjoy your Memorial Monday, and I'll see you the next one.